Hello everyone, welcome back to the Dungeon Learner's Guide. This week we've got a year in review video. So throughout the course of the year, I tracked all of the stats, everything about the games that we played on the channel, typically relating to the Commander's Guild series. And so we're going to take a run through a lot of those, see what some of the most popular colors were, how many times decks were searched, that kind of stuff. And I am not alone in this one. I don't do videos with other people very often. But in this case, I am joined by Shawn, if you want to say hello,
Hello.
and by Nina as well.
Hello, hello.
So the three of us are going to take a look at all of these different stats. I know everything that's in here. They do not. So we're going to treat it kind of like a trivia game with very low stakes, because if they get it wrong, then, nothing happens. So I guess to start with, we got to do our usual taking care of business stuff, which is if you're interested in following the channel, you can find us on Twitter, Reddit, you can send us an email, dungeonlearnersguide@gmail.com, and of course, some ways to help support the channel. We have our TCG Player affiliate link, which is in the description of the video, and then you can also support us over on patreon.com, Patreon Dungeon Learners Guide over there. And then once you're over on the Patreon, you get access to things like the Discord channel, which is actually where we are recording this video right now, so you could be in future videos like this. You can also participate in some games, get to the deck lists a week early, and then also a random card sent to you every single month. So a huge shout out to our 4 current patrons of Doodle, William Swiftfoot, Eric Huey, and Calvin Schmidt. So I guess that is all of my rambling that I've got to get done. So I guess we'll jump into things. And the first part of our stats that we're going to take a look at is going to be our actual random cards of the week. So if you don't know, we do random videos every single Friday. And so we have a total of, anyone want to take a guess how many cards if we do one every week?
52 sounds
Sounds
right
like
number.
52,
Yeah, we'll
right?
start with
Might
an
have missed
easy
a
one.
couple.
Start with an easy one. It's 52. So we have a
I
total
guess.
of 52 cards. They're going to show up on screen. You might not be able to read them. They are very tiny. But there are a total of 52. Now, a lot of what we do with the Commanders Guild is all of the decks have to be built under a budget of $100. So if you had to take a guess, and we just took the total price of all 52 of these cards and threw them into a shopping cart, how much do you think that these 52 cards might cost? Just
Oh God,
roughly.
I'm not good at this stuff. I'm gonna go low and say 45.
Okay.
It sounds about right. I think I might go a little lower because a lot of these cards are pretty cheap. Um, and several of them have been reprinted into the ground. I'll say 35 because I feel like most of these are 30-cent cards.
Okay. Well, the good news is that I wish they were this cheap. The bad news is that they combined are actually $89.77. So a little
Okay.
bit higher than what was expected, but at least you weren't like super far away. I think 45 roughly, pretty close. And this was
I'll take
when,
it.
yeah,
A win for Nina.
I guess. If we're using like
Look, I'll
Price
take
is Right
it.
rules, then yes, you didn't go over, but you were the closest. A point
Woo!
for Nina.
There's
Do I
there's
need to
got to be
track?
like some cards that are, yeah, some of these things got to be crazy expensive because otherwise,
Yes, and we will talk about that in a second as well. Um,
okay.
so here, we'll track points for Nina.
Thank
Nina's
you.
winning.
Nina's winning. She's got a point. Um, but this was the price of all the cards when I first put the decks together. So I went and every single time I put a deck together, I track the prices of all the cards. And I actually went through right before making this video and checked the prices again. And so
Yeah.
my second question for you is, do you think that between when these videos were made, which the first one went out literally a year ago today, so we'll spoil when the video is being made, but it went out January 7th, 2022. Do you think the total
Ooh.
price of the cards has gone up or down since then?
I'm I'm gonna say down because, like Sean mentioned, some of these cards have been reprinted, and I'm not sure if that's been like during this year. So I'm gonna say down, kind of depreciated.
I'm gonna say about the same actually,
Okay.
because yeah, maybe like $5 or $10 here or there,
Yeah, I
but
was say not by much,
about the
but
same.
I will say it is very close to being the same. But it did either go up or
Okay.
down. So do you want to pick one of those?
I'm gonna say up just a hair.
Okay. So the total price actually dipped down, and it went down to 84.
Ah,
So another point for Nina.
oh God, this doesn't happen to me, guys. So I'm excited.
Oh, don't worry. There's plenty more to go.
Oh, I know, and I will be very incorrect on most of them, I'm sure.
So, still on the terms of price, though, um, if you had to pick one of the cards on this list that was the most expensive, which one do you think probably controls most of the price of this price tag, I guess? And if you don't know the names of them because you can't read them, that is okay.
I'll say, the one for me, I'm gonna go with, and once again, I don't think I'm right, but in the seventh column, third one down, I'm gonna say that one.
Okay,
It's
I
pretty.
think that's Rubinia.
Yes.
Okay,
Um,
Sean, you've probably got a better chance at this than Nina does.
Oh yeah.
so the white card in between Dina and Silvala. What card is that? I can't read it.
That is Baron Glory. That's the card that if you control no other permanents and have no cards in hand with that on board, you win the game.
Oh wow.
Okay, probably not that one. I was thinking it was a different one. I'm gonna put my money on Hermit Druid, but I'm probably gonna be wrong
Okay.
because I know Hermit Druid was just reprinted.
So Hermit Druid is very close to being number one, but it's not actually number one. The most expensive one is going to be. See if I can actually get this transition to work like I intended. There we go. Selvala.
Ah,
Oh.
that was my second choice.
Yeah, Selvala was the only one when I went through and put all the information in here. She was the only one that was actually double digits in terms of
Oh
price.
wow.
Everything else was below $10. Hermit Druid was very close. It was like 9 something.
Like
Hmm,
Sean.
Yeah, I think that's a point for Sean. You got the
Oh,
closest.
for sure.
But
I appreciate it.
I figured that might be the easier part of this, trying to figure out which one's the most expensive. So obviously we got to
So
do
you're
the
gonna do lowest.
opposite, right?
Which
Okay.
is
Yeah, we got to
cheapest.
take a look
Oh
at
Low
God.
budget.
least expensive. This one's a lot harder.
Um.
At least I can give you a
So.
hint. It's not Selvala or Hermit Druid.
Wow. Thanks. That takes a lot down. Um. Go ahead, Sean. I need to look through these. I can't see it.
I'm gonna put my money on that blue sea serpent next to Dina and Baron Glory
Okay.
because
Oh.
Taniwar.
I'm pretty sure that's the one that's sea walk and you can't attack unless they have an island, if I recall correctly.
That is the at the beginning of your upkeep, your lands phase out.
Yeah, I'm putting my money there.
Okay.
What's the card underneath Gisela?
Underneath Kisa, that is the Slippery Boggle.
I'll put my money on the boggle.
Okay. Gonna ogle the
I,
boggle.
I'd encourage you to. I'd encourage you to pick a different one.
Okay, so oh, gosh, okay, so not the boggle.
Yeah, Sean is right on that one. It is not the boggle.
Yeah, okay. Far left, second one down, first column.
Okay,
So
Mirko Vosk.
yeah, I'll go
Okay,
with him. Wrong, but
It's not him either.
cool.
that is correct.
Let's,
It is also
let's,
not him. He is
that's
closer.
okay.
I think he's a little bit cheaper than Slippery Boggle. Slippery Boggle is like $2 for some reason.
Oh wow.
It's the lack of
Well,
reprints, I
it
think.
was a modern deck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Shawn, unfortunately, though, was even further away. Taniwa is actually part of the reserved list. So
Okay.
Taniwa's like $6, even though it's a terrible card.
All right. Can I get one more guess?
Sure.
Yeah. You gave
Yeah,
me
Nina
two,
got
so that's
two.
fair.
All right. It's either going to be Thimblethip or the Angel just above Thimblethip.
Okay. I think that's Blinding Angel is the one above Fibblethip.
Yeah. But the fact that you don't remember it means I'm probably wrong at
That
this point.
that is wrong. Yeah, Blinding Angel is also weirdly
Ah,
expensive. It's like $3.
what?
Jeez.
Yeah, because it's another one. I don't think it's been reprinted since like ninth edition or something like that.
I don't think it's. I think it's a single print. Yeah, but like
Yeah,
it's not an Angel's deck or anything. That's weird.
yeah, because when it hits someone, they skip their next combat phase,
Oh, that's
Uh,
cool.
so it's pretty
hmm.
solid. And then Fibblethip is very cheap, but not quite that cheap. So
Ah,
yeah, the correct answer
all
though.
right. What
Ready?
is it?
See if we
Hmm.
can get that one pulled up. The transitions take a while because there's a lot of cards on screen. It was Splicer's Skill. It's only 3 cents.
Oh.
What?
Yeah. And this is another one that, weirdly enough, actually went up in price from when I started making this video to when I ended it. Because when I started, it was only a single cent. And over the
Wow.
course of
How are you?
getting everything set up, it went up 2 cents.
That's
Where are you
that's
pricing
wild.
your cards?
This is TCG mid.
Okay.
So it can fluctuate depending on if people list prices higher or lower. But I figured that was the most, like, well-rounded price to look at.
Makes
Yeah,
sense.
that makes sense. Hmm.
All right. So if we're moving into this one, then we're still on price, but we're gonna take a look at the decks specifically that, like I mentioned earlier, we started with $100. So all of these decks, when they were built, were $100 or less. However, because prices fluctuate, some of them are now technically more than $100.
Mhm.
And I'm just gonna ask for a rough estimate out of the 52 decks here. How many do you think actually are now currently more than $100?
I'll say. Okay, well, I'm gonna say 15
Okay.
because
I'm
like
gonna
that
go a
could be
little
like
higher.
101.
I'm gonna say 32.
Okay. Much higher. So these are the ones that are more than 100. And for those counting, it is 16. So Nina was very, very close.
Ah, gosh.
Yeah. Very,
Oh,
very good guess.
yeah, thank you.
So some
What is
of
that?
them,
3 points for Nina?
that's actually
Yeah.
4 points for Nina.
Woo.
Yeah.
Ah,
And one for Shawn.
Oh, don't worry. Once we get into some of the more like savvy things about actually how to play it and all the commander stuff, I'm gonna tank. So I already know.
We'll see. We'll see. So my next question for you, though, out of these 16 decks, which one do you think wound up being the most expensive? Not just the commander or the card, but like the whole deck.
I'm going to play favoritism because it was the deck I had requested. One with nothing.
Okay.
I'm gonna say, you know what? The bottom right. Bottom right.
Bottom right. So Tavash.
Yeah.
All right, the correct answer is Tavash.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
there's no way to know that either.
No. Oh wow. Oh my gosh.
Yeah,
145.
it jumped up a lot from when I first built the deck. And I think the main reason is because I built it right after the Secret Lair came out that had Exquisite Blood in it. So Exquisite Blood was like
Oh.
$12, and now it's back up to over 20.
Yeah. Yeah. That
So a
makes
lot of
sense.
the price came from that. But not sure what else in the deck spiked up. I didn't look at specifics. I think a lot of them just kind of went up by like $1 or $2, which made the overall price jump up pretty high.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
kind of surprised
Little.
Shadowborn stayed. Didn't go up in price.
Shadowborn actually dropped from when the video released.
Oh wow.
Because it was right around Double Masters, and it was reprinted in Double Masters.
That makes sense.
Yeah. So that was the most expensive deck, just like we did with Card. Now we gotta look at least expensive. And this one, again, a little bit trickier because I can't narrow it down to just 16. Although, if you know the most expensive 16 that we just looked at, you could probably eliminate those. But
Yeah.
if you had to guess the least expensive deck overall, what would you say?
I'm gonna go bottom left wasn't on there, was it?
It was not. That's the
Yeah.
Shadowborn Apostle
Left.
I'll go
that
with that.
Shawn was talking about. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Rashim.
With which one?
Rashim, the Meanderer.
Oh, yeah. Roshin Meanderer.
Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately, both incorrect. And weirdly enough, the least expensive deck was also the last one of the year. So it's the bottom right. It's Splendor Mare. Because the entire deck was only about $20.
Oh, you did tell me that.
Yeah.
I remember you
awesome.
telling me that.
Yeah, that was the cycling deck.
Nice budget deck.
So yeah, if you're looking to get into Commander for only $20, I gotcha.
Cycling is a really good set, and it's getting some more support every year.
Yeah,
Yep.
especially because I think cycling, it's not evergreen now, but it's like, I don't know what word they use to describe, like coniferous. It's like it can show up randomly.
Oh yeah. That's cool.
All right. So that is, I believe, the last of the actual budget questions. And I've got a few that I'm going to use to prop up my own ego, I suppose, first. So out of all of these cards, obviously one of them had to be the most popular of the year and one had to be the least. Out of these 52 cards and decks, and which one do you think wound up getting the most views for their video?
I actually know this one, so I will let Nina go first.
Okay, most views. I know I'm probably wrong, but I'll go with Giza.
Okay. Geese and Gerolf?
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Dina.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, Shawn did know it. It is Dina. And I won't make you guess the actual number of views because I feel like that's super specific. But as of the time of recording this, Dina got 2,329 views, making it not only the most popular of the year, but the most popular deck that I've ever done, period, which is very impressive. I don't know what about Dina draws people in. I think it's the Soul Sisters and Golgari, maybe, but...
Yeah. Hey.
I think you picked the right time to build that deck because if I recall correctly, that was right after that set came out, and there wasn't a lot of Dina decks out there, and Dina is very popular in general.
So it was actually almost a year after Strixhaven came out.
Oh, that's right. She's from the Strixhaven.
Yeah, so like I said, I have no idea why this one, but I'll take it. And so obviously, if we're doing the most popular, we also got to talk about the least popular. So one of these decks did significantly worse than Dina. If Dina's in like the 2000s, I mean, I can give you the number for this one if you want me to make it a little easier on you. But we're looking for the least popular one. Do you want the number for this one or no?
Go for it.
Yeah.
This one got a whopping 66 views compared to Dina's 2,300.
I'm gonna go with second column, second card.
Okay, so clever combo. The one with the silver border.
Yes.
That's probably a safe bet.
That would have been my guess too, but since she grabbed it, I will guess.
I mean, you can guess the same card if you want. I'm not going to stop you.
Okay.
No. I got to be different.
Okay.
I will go with Spike Shot Goblin.
Spike Shot Goblin. Okay. So the correct answer, once again, someone got it spot on. It was Spike Shot Goblin.
Wow.
Holy cow.
Yeah. So I think if I had to guess why this one wasn't super popular is I used Arlen Cord as the commander, who's a planeswalker.
Mm.
That's my only guess as to why it didn't do super well, is people just didn't want to see a non-legal commander. But somehow, the straight up illegal decks in the Unfinity cards still did better. So I have no idea. All right. So those are the popularity contests, I suppose. The last thing we're going to do before we get into some of the like color stats is take a look at which of these 52 decks actually won a game. Now, again, just like we did with the ones that broke the bank, if you had to take a guess out of the 52 decks here, how many do you think actually won the game on the video that they were shown off in?
I'll go with 20.
Okay.
I'll go with 21, just to be different.
Well, that one is also pretty easy. There were 20.
Ah!
So,
Yes!
man,
Yeah!
y'all are real good at this. But yeah, so there were exactly 20.
Rating.
There was a big streak of decks that wound up winning a game because I did like 2 videos in one. So you can see there's 5 in a row between Harabaz Druid, Naban, Torrent of Souls, the Blinding Angel, and Lich's Mirror. Out of the 5 of those decks, 4 of them had 2 games in the same video. So I won one of the games but lost the other. I believe the only one out of these, and this might be secret information that could help you later, Gissa and Geralf was the only one where I did 2 gameplay videos, or yeah, 2 gameplay videos in the same video and won both of them.
Hilarious. That is what I was gonna guess, actually.
That was
Zombies
the one
are
that won
good.
too. Zombies are good. There wasn't even a zombie deck though.
Zombies are good.
I also have a Gissa Girl deck, so I might be a bit biased.
That's all right. Bias for Magic cards is fine. All right. So this next screen is going to look a little bit strange, but throughout all of the decks that were just played, obviously I didn't show the commanders for those decks, so some of them might have more colors than what they were seeing with, some of them might have been the exact colors, but out of the 52 total decks, how many do you think existed in each color? Or if you want to make your life easier, which one do you think was the most or least popular color?
For most, I'm kind of between white and black, to be
Okay.
quite honest. Because of my personal bias, I will say black.
Okay.
And least, I will go with red.
Okay.
Knowing you as a player and how you build your decks, I'm going to say red was the most popular and blue was the least popular.
Okay. Well, this is where I have to admit that the stats don't reflect my personal opinions, because the most popular was blue, and the least popular was red and white.
I got one that's the least popular, but
Yeah. I am very much a Boros player at heart, so it pains me to see white and red both at the bottom of this, and blue is
Especially
easily
since you
my...
told me you're going to start playing more Boros.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And blue is easily my least favorite color. But there were a lot of mono blue legends that showed up in the random cards this year. So that really, if the general rule is if I get a legendary creature or something that can be your commander as the random card, like that has to be the commander, because otherwise how else could you really build around it? So because there were a lot of mono blue commanders in the random cards, I was kind of forced into mono blue pretty regularly. Not sure who gets the point for that. I guess Nina, because you got technically one of them.
Yeah, Nina gets the point. I didn't get either.
Yeah, because Sean's were literally flopped. You said the best was the worst and the worst was the best.
All right, I'll take it.
Yeah, something. All right, now I'm going to apologize in advance if this next screen is painful to your eyes, because we're going to take a look at the actual color combinations and break those down for each of the decks. So there are some decks and some color combinations that didn't see any play, and there were some that saw play quite a bit. And again, right now we're only talking about the decks that I played for the channel. We'll get into the decks that everybody else played in a little bit. But if you had to take a guess what you think the most popular color combination was and the least popular color combination was, what do you think you might say?
For most popular, I'm gonna go blue, black.
Okay.
Just kind of based on the statistics from the last slide. Least popular, red, green.
Okay.
Or oh no, red, white. Red, white.
Yeah, I'm with Nina on this one. That makes the most logical sense.
Okay. So Demir at the top, Boros at the bottom.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So the correct answer here is 5 colors at the top. Turns out when you're building jank, putting a bunch of 5-color commanders in there just makes it work. And then there are a total of 7 color combinations that I didn't play at all. And so that was Azorius, Sultai, was that 4, and then 4 of the 4 colors, so one that didn't include blue, black, red, or green, and then I didn't play a colorless deck either. But Demir was...
for next year.
Yeah, exactly. Demir, though, was close to the top. It was technically third, tied for third, played 4 times. And then Boros was toward the bottom, only being played once. A tragedy. But
where it belongs.
Yeah. Rude. Alright, so this is going to be the color breakdown for me. But now we're going to include everybody in here. So all the decks that have been played, all of the commanders that we've seen. What do you think the most popular and least popular was for every single person that played a game on the channel this year?
Like color breakdown?
Yeah, like color breakdown.
Yeah, well, I mean, I know I saw a lot of blue, black, and white, at least when I played. Partially is that because that's what I played, so I'll say that's probably up there.
Okay. So the Esper colors.
I'll go with red, green, and white for least.
Red, green, and white. Okay, so the Naya colors at the bottom.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with colorless for the bottom and either Golgari or Sultai for the top.
Okay.
Colorless is an option.
Yeah, colorless is an option.
I'll stick with what
Okay. So we're going to see if move things around a little bit. There we go. They didn't change, actually. 5 color still at the top, colorless still at the bottom. But there were 3, I guess colorless isn't alone at the bottom because there's 3 colors down at the bottom. But it's 4 color without blue and 4 color without black that also nobody played. And there were some that changed positions pretty drastically. Golgari is close to the top, so you were close on that one, Shawn. 16 total decks. And unfortunately, though, your other guest, Sultai, was very close to the bottom, with only 2 total decks.
Man, that's weird.
Yeah.
That is wild.
Yeah, there were a few color combinations that didn't show up a lot. Like Izzet also only had 2 decks.
That's so interesting. I would have thought that would have been more.
Yeah, and for some reason...
I'm going to have to build some of these decks.
Yeah.
I said that last year when we did this, and I still didn't.
Look at the random cards. I feel like that sometimes kind of prevents you from... You know what I mean?
Yeah, from straying aside.
I'm going to just strictly play Mildrotha for the rest of the year and just get that Sultai number up.
Okay. But yeah, so a couple of things that I just want to point out, because again, I'm a stats nerd and I like this kind of stuff. 2 of the 4 color pairs? I don't know what you call them. 2 of the 4 color combinations had 4 plays and 3 plays whereas the other ones had 2, 0, and 0. So I don't know what exactly makes the deck without white and the deck without green super popular, but none of the others.
It is odd, yeah.
Because I'm not 100% sure who those commanders are off the top of my head. I think green is Brea,
Well,
right?
yes, Brea's my deck, and I played that a couple times this last year, so that's probably me repping greenless.
And I think whitelist might be Yidris, if I
Mm.
remember right. And I think
Uh, no, white is going to be Bilal's partner deck.
his Vile Smasher and
The
Thrasios.
Vile Smash and Thrasios deck.
I do think it's also still Yidris, though. And Mike played Yidris a few times, and I also had a Yidris deck. So I think that might be where that one comes in.
Would
But,
make sense.
yeah, I just thought it was interesting. All right, so anyway, that's the color breakdown of all the decks that are played. So the next piece that we'll talk about is how many games were actually played and all the guests that showed up, because most of the crew stayed the same throughout the course of the year, but we did have some guests that showed up a few times. And so I'm going to show those stats here just so we can see the games that were played, kind of get a feel for who showed up. Obviously, I was in the most games because I was the one who recorded the videos. So I was in 62 total games because there were, like I mentioned, some of the videos that had like 2 games in one. And then Bilal next at 48. Shawn, yourself, 36. Jason, 32. Cow at 13. Mike at 10. Nina showing up at 9. Sorceress, 6. Jacob from Opal Wave at 5. Lena, 4. George, William, Joshua, Chris, and Cam all showed up at 2. And then we had a bunch of people who were just in 1. So Manny, Ure, Vin, Chief, Finnegan, Eddie, Lenny, Andy, and Michaela all showing up for just the 1. So
Fix it in post. Fix it in post.
so lots of games played, lots of people showing up. This is a much bigger chart than last year's was. I really struggled to squeeze all these people onto one, which is a good sign, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully.
Yeah.
I thought I missed more games than that.
I need to step up the games.
Yeah, you can always join in some games. I'm always playing, it feels like. But these are the games that people played. Now we get to the part that Shawn's going to hate. How many games were won by each of these players? So if y'all had to take a guess at who won, just in like pure numbers, who won the most games? And I can tell you right now, there are people, because we have a ton of 1s and 2s, who never won a game. So 0 is the correct answer for multiple people for least games.
Oh gosh, we have to guess each person?
No. I mean, you can. I won't stop you.
You monster.
Right, I was going to say, like, Zach.
No. But if we were to just say, like, in terms of sheer volume, who won the most games? If you had to guess.
I'm leaning towards you and Bilal, just because of the fact that you guys have played so much.
Yeah, it's definitely between you and Bilal.
Yeah.
I will be nice and say that one of those is the correct answer.
I will go with you because you've played the most games, and statistics tell me that is the correct answer.
I'll go Bilal then.
Okay, to be different.
Yeah, just to be different. You know, I'm not like
okay.
Other magic players.
It was me.
Ah.
It was me. I won 21 games. Bilal won 13. Shawn and Jason tied for 6. Cow had 5. Mike had 3. Jacob had 2. And then Sorceress, Manny, Vin, Eddie, Lenny, and Joshua all had 1. And unfortunately, everybody else had 0. So.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah, a tragedy.
Wow.
So
the number hurts.
Yeah. But.
Except for my defeat.
The important thing, I think, is that it's less about the actual like sheer number, because obviously, you know, I won 21 games, but I played, 62? So my actual percentage of wins is going to be a lot less than that. So if we're looking at all of these numbers, and out of all the people here, who do you think had the best win percentage? Like, who actually won the most games that they showed up for?
I'm
I would say Angry Cow.
Okay.
gonna go with Manny.
Okay.
It's gonna be Manny, Vinny, Eddie, Lenny, Josh.
I think it's going to be
I don't
like
remember who.
Jacob.
Yeah, I will say there
Oh,
are a
that's true,
couple of
'cause they
people
did
who showed
win.
up for one game that won the game they showed up in, so they statistically have
Yeah,
a 100% win rate.
yeah,
So yeah,
That's true. I forgot about that.
yeah.
yep.
So we'll flash those up there. So Manny, Vin, Eddie, and Lenny
Stats.
all had a 100% because they won the one game they showed up in. Joshua won one of his two games, so 50%. Jacob, 2 of 5 for 40. And then the statistics that start to get really weird are Angry Cow with a massive 38% across 13 games, which is a huge number.
Yeah.
Myself getting 33%, Mike 30, Bilal sitting around 27, Jason 18, Shawn 16, Sorceress 16, and then unfortunately everybody else zeros. We won't talk about the fact that Nina got 0 out of 9. I feel like that might be
Hey,
rude.
that's okay. Look, I know, and that's fine. I embrace it. That is
Okay,
a-okay.
that's all right. I will say, in terms of like positions in game, if we tracked like who came in second the most, you came in second a lot in your
I'll say,
games, Nina.
look, that's just because I usually, especially if I have my Shadrach stuck, I usually just get those high things and then eventually just get cleaned out.
Yeah, and just start knocking people out.
Best thing.
It is the best way. So, all right, since we're talking about everyone who showed up and all the guests and everything, if you had to take a guess at how many, that kind of gave it away. Whoops. If you had to take
Oh,
a guess at how many commanders were played by all the players. So over the course of 62 games, how many unique commanders?
Hmm.
oh gosh. So unique, as in like they showed up only. I played like Shadrach like several times.
Yeah, so if you played
Wow.
Shadrax
Ooh,
several
okay.
times, Shadrax counts as one,
Right.
right? So like if you play him 3 times, he doesn't count as three. He only counts as one.
I'll for like 40. I'll say 40. Well, hold on.
So
Because you hold on. Because you have
yeah,
52
to
deaths.
make your life a little easier,
Yeah.
there were 62
I did
total
not see,
games.
but yeah.
Out of those 62 total games, there's 4 players in each game. I think there might have been
Oh,
one game all
true.
year that I recorded with 3 people. I think all the rest had 4.
I was thinking in games and not in terms of people.
Yeah.
Ooh,
So the minimum it could actually be is if everyone played the same commander would be
yeah.
62.
Right.
No.
No, it would be if everybody played the
320.
same 4 commanders, the minimum could technically be 4. Well, that's not even true either. Everyone could play the exact same commander. The minimum could be 1, which is
Yeah. So the minimum could be 1.
incredibly
Your
unlikely.
maximum is 247.
Yeah.
Yeah, so somewhere between 1 and 247.
I will say 150. 150.
Okay.
I think it's going to be closer to the 240 mark, but I don't think it's going to be there. I'm going to say rate it 190.
Okay. So the correct answer for total number of commanders was 182.
Oh, good job.
Yeah, so Sean got real close on that one.
Yeah.
But 182 commanders, which is still a lot of commanders.
Yeah. Many.
Because again, I looked at my video that I did last year for these stats, and it was only like 90 or something like that. So I put all the commanders on screen. They were real tiny. It was a pain in the butt. And I started looking at how in the world could I fit 182 commanders on one screen,
No.
and the answer was you can't. It's not going to work.
It's wild.
How
You
many games
double.
between this year and last year did you put up? Was it 52 as well?
So it was 52 videos, but I did a lot more 2 games in one this year than I did last year.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's fairly comparable.
Yeah, so I think I did like 5 more games this year overall.
It's strange that the ratio or the number of unique commanders is so drastically different.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm not 100% sure why. I'm assuming people just kind of want to try out some new commanders because I know this year, especially, a lot of new commanders came out. So
that's
maybe it's
true.
just people trying new things.
That's
I,
very
I,
true. We
I
could
think so.
go
Because, like,
both ways
I
there.
know I tried a couple of new commanders, so,
Hmm.
yeah.
I also, because there were a lot more guests too, I think there was just the more of a chance that a wider variety of decks were played. Because last
Okay.
year, I was in 100% of the games, and then you, Sean, Jason, and Bilal were in like 75% each. So just the statistical likelihood of you playing a deck more than once because you have that deck, I think is going to be higher than
Right.
if I'm bringing in more people.
Makes sense.
So, all right, but yeah, so that's the total number of commanders. Now I have another tough question for you. Out of the 182 commanders that were played this year, how many unique commanders won a game? So
Hmm.
Oh,
there were
gosh.
62 total games played. So there were 62 winners. But in terms of the games, how many were won by a unique commander? So again, Shadrix, if he wins 2 games, would only count as one.
Right. I'll go, I'll say 25.
Okay.
I'm gonna go higher. I'm gonna say 50.
Okay. So the correct answer for that one is
Oh, wow.
57.
Good job, Sean.
So a lot of commanders in here. Some that we may recognize. Gisengorolf is on there. The Gitrog
Dina's
Monster,
there.
Krenko. So decks that I know the two of you have played. Um, Out of all of these commanders, though, how many do you think won more than one game?
I'll say, I'm going to go low. I'm going to say like 10.
10? Okay. I will say I
5.
did tell you one earlier.
I'm gonna go with 5.
Okay.
And
So the answer to that one is going to be very close to what Sean said. It's actually going to be 4,
Oh, wow.
and it's these
a boy
4.
get rug.
Your boy Gitrog.
Okay, so.
And I can almost exclusively tell you where all these wins came from, too. I'm pretty sure Gitrog is exclusively Sean. The wins from Gisengirlf, sorry, Nina, came from me.
Oh, I know that.
The wins from Alessia
Is
came
Chris
from
Paul
Mike.
full?
One Karth was Bilal. The other one was, I believe, Lenny was the other
Oh, wow.
Karth game. So, out
You
of
have a
these,
Lesha deck, don't you?
I do have an Alessia deck. I did not play it, though.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I'm going to give you another question. Hopefully this one's easier because there's only 4 cards here. Out of these 4 commanders, how many of them never lost a game? And if you want to be specific, you can even tell me which ones.
Oh.
Out of these 4, there are some that never lost a game.
I'm going to go with
100% win.
100% win with more than one win. Because, again, if a commander wins one game and never shows up again, then yeah, they have a 100% win. But we want the ones that were in more than one game and never lost.
I'm going to say Karth.
Okay.
I don't think it's Karth. I don't think it's Gisa, and I don't think it's Alesha. I think it's got to be Gitrog.
Okay. Well, on the bright side, you're both right.
Oh,
It was Gitrog and Karth. They were both 2-0.
nice.
Yeah, because Alessia showed up, I believe, 3 times, and I think Gisengorf showed up 4 times.
Yeah.
Weirdly enough, out of those 4 commanders, though, none of them won more than 2 games.
Interesting.
They all won 2 games, which is really weird. But we'll say both of you get a point for that one.
Yay.
Why not? All right, now we get to the actual winning commander colors. So we figured out who the most winning commanders are. So now we're going to take a look at percentages of colors that won the game. So if you had to take a guess, percentage-wise, which color won the most games and which color lost the most games? And we're going to also eliminate the ones that were, like we talked about earlier, the ones that had 0 games overall, like colorless.
Right.
You don't worry about those ones.
Okay, so are we going combinations or are we just doing single color?
Combinations, because a single color counts as a combination, as weird as that is. So anything from like mono green all the way up to 5 color.
Ooh. You go ahead, Sean. I gotta
I think I'm going to go with my favorite color, Golgari,
Okay.
for best deck. And least winning, I'm going to say mono white.
Okay.
think.
So once you've got your guesses in, I'm going to give you the flat numbers again, and then we'll look at percentages to see if maybe your answers change.
For highest, I might go. Part of me wants to go my own bias, but I'm gonna say Orzhov for most, and I'm gonna say Demure last.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to pull up the actual winning color combinations and the ones that actually won the most before we get to percentage-wise, because things get complicated. But, so Shawn is correct. Golgari did win the most games. In terms of losses, obviously we have the zeros in there. But Demir still pretty close to the top, won 3 games. Mono White also won 2 games, so... Yeah. But because all of these are just like the flat numbers and like who won the most, some of these colors did get played a lot more than others. So like we saw earlier, there were 2 decks that played Izzet, and Izzet won one of those 2 games. So they're technically 50% in terms of percentages. And I'm not going to move the bubbles, but we'll pull the percentages up just to show statistically how likely you might be to win playing that color combination. So,
Wow.
Golgari, massive
5%.
44%. Some very high, for example, Sultai, 100%. There were 2 Sultai decks, and they both won their games.
Amazing.
Was it my Sultai deck? No, it wasn't my Sultai deck.
I don't know. I know one was Manny. I know Manny played Tassiger. And for the life of me, I cannot remember the other one.
I get that teamer number up. That teamer number's terrible.
Yeah, teamer is not great. 17%, not where you want to be.
No,
5 color.
Yeah, the 5 color one I think is super interesting because earlier we talked about 5 color was the most popular. There were 19 5 color decks. Maybe 18? One of those. So the fact that it only won 5% of its games, I think, means that only one 5 color deck won any game.
That's tragic.
Which I think just goes to show, like, most of the time 5 color tends to be like, oh, I'm building something kind of trash and jank, so I need all the support I can get, so I'm just going to throw all the colors in.
Doesn't it just be like that sometimes?
Yeah. But some other super small ones, Gruul only got 8%, so still not very good. And then the ones that, like, toward the top, you can see the ones that won the most games. So statistically, like, Golgari getting close to 44% is very good. Mono White getting 40% is actually still very good. So the next piece of this is where we get into the actual, like, stats that were tracked. So we're not talking about colors. We're not talking about, like, players and anything like that. This is... Now we're going to start talking about, like, what happened in the games. So this is one that, Shawn, you might, again, have a bit of an advantage because you played in more games than Nina did. But the first thing we're going to talk about is a very controversial topic, commander damage. So out of our 62 total games, how many times did someone knock someone else out with commander damage? They didn't necessarily have to win the game.
I'll say I know for sure that I've knocked someone out with Shadrax, and I of course didn't win any games. So,
Yep.
um,
I will say Shadrax is in fact one of the commanders on this list.
I am unsurprised.
Hmm.
Go ahead, Sean.
This is going to be really low, I think.
Okay.
So I'm going to say less than 10, but if I'm going to have to put a nail in a number, it's going to be 7.
Okay.
That's probably too high.
Which is full knockout. Full knockout.
Yeah, like, so when someone takes 21 commander
Yeah.
damage, they're knocked out of the game. So this is like
Okay.
commanders that did at least 21 to another player.
I'll say 7, just to be different.
Well, he also said 7.
Oh, I thought
So
he said
I don't know how
5.
different that is.
I thought he said 5.
Yeah.
I'll say 5 then.
You'll say 5? Okay.
Yeah.
Once again, very close. Y'all are very good at this. The correct answer is 8.
Oh.
And again, I would like to remind everybody that the total amount of unique commanders played was 182. And out of those,
I did play Feather, didn't I?
yep, out of those 182 commanders, only 8 killed someone with commander damage. I think
Dina surprises me.
Dina pumps her power by sacrificing things.
Yeah, she's so spooky in that respect.
Yeah, all of
numbers
these
make sense.
Yeah, all of these kind of make sense. The only one that's a little bit out there is Guillaume. Because Guillaume has no way of kind of buffing his toughness or power. The Guillaume deck was Angry Cow.
Oh.
Yep.
That tracks.
Yeah, so if I'm not mistaken, I played the Dina deck.
Yeah.
Nina played Shadrax.
Yep.
Shawn, you played Feather and Umbrus.
Yep.
Sorceress had Omnath. Angry Cow played Greven and Guillaume. And then Bilal played Sir Gwyn.
I hate that deck.
Alright, so I've got one more commander damage question for you, though.
Okay.
These are the 8 commanders that killed someone with commander damage. Only one of them did it more than once. Which one is that?
I might have to say Shadrax.
Okay.
I'm going to rep my own deck Feather.
Okay. It is Sir Gwyn. It was Sir Gwyn. It was the only one who did it more than once, and even she only did it twice.
Ah.
So not a lot of commander damage kills. So technically there were 9 total commander damage kills this year. They just came from 8 specific commanders. But
Oh.
yeah. All right. So we're past the point where I can kind of like reliably put cards up on screen. So instead we're going to look at these weird gray boxes. But we're still talking like random things that have happened in games. So throughout the course of the year, people obviously have got to search their decks, right? This could be anything from playing in Evolving Wilds and sacrificing it to search for a basic land, or it could be casting a Demonic Tutor and, finding the best card in your deck. But out of the 62 total games, how many times do you think people searched their decks?
Oh my gosh. I feel like I remember playing some games where people were doing it like every turn.
There are some games like that.
Oh god.
Yeah.
I still feel like this is gonna be low. I'm gonna say like 160.
Okay.
Still feel like
100 and
really
what?
low. 60.
160.
That's so low.
Okay.
No, that might be pretty close. I'm gonna say, on average, most people search their decks at least 2 times a game.
Okay.
So going off that number, I'm gonna say 240, and that's probably too high.
240. Okay. You're both actually a lot lower.
Oh.
The correct answer is 387.
Gee.
Wow.
So over the course of 62 games, the decks were searched 387 times. Because
A lot of evolving wilds.
yeah, because it counts
Oh.
Evolving Wilds, Cultivate, Demonic Tutor, Sakura Tribe Elders, anything like that. And so based on that, though, I don't know how good y'all are at math. What would be the average number of times the decks were searched per game? If we had 62 games, 387 times. You don't actually have to do the math. I'm not going to make you do that, but if you want to take a guess.
We'll say 7.
Okay.
I'll go 10.
10. All right. So the average was closer to 7, 6.24.
Yeah.
Which it feels like a lot.
Well, you play an evolving wild, you play cultivate, and you demonic tutor. That's 3 in every single game.
That is true.
Yeah.
I will say, I know I play a lot of search effects, but they're almost always for lands.
I feel like that's going to be the most common one.
Yeah, I think so. So, all right, with this little factoid stored away, we're going to take a look at specifics. And we're going to take a look at the game that had the most searches and the game that had the least searches. And we're going to start with most. So, if decks have been searched 387 times, with an average of 6.24 times per game, how many searches do you think happened in one game? Like, what's the most that someone did it? And again, we're talking all 4 players combined.
Ooh, oh, okay. No searches. Oh.
I can give you a bit of a hint and say that it is definitely above the average.
I'll go 20, like 15. 15.
Okay.
I will go with 30.
15 and 30. All right. So the correct answer was 24. So I think
I should have gone with my first guess of 20.
yeah, 20 would have been closer. But I think as it is, Shawn technically gets the point for that one.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it was in the Jensen Carthrelian video. Because I know I tutored my deck a lot. At one point toward the end of the game, I literally had every basic land in my deck on the battlefield. Because I spent the first 6 turns just ramping. So a lot of those searches came from me.
Are you counting fail to finds? Because I feel like a couple games we had a fail to find center.
Yes. Anytime anyone picked up their library, looked at it, and then shuffled it, counted as a search. Whether you failed to find or not.
Interesting.
Yeah. So 24 was the most. Do you want to take a guess at the least?
I'll say
1.
Yeah, I'll say 2.
Okay. So this one's a bit of a trick because it was 0. There were 2 games where nobody searched their libraries. It was in the videos were the Judith Torrent of Souls deck and the Ogle the Boggle deck. Both of these actually had 2 games in them, but it was only one of the games in there that nobody searched their deck. Not 100% sure why. I think most of it is it ended pretty quickly. But yeah, not a ton.
Definitely a video I want to go back and watch because I want to see why.
Yeah, I took a look at them before this started. I'm pretty sure the Boggle one, if I remember right, I think Bilal goes infinite. He just had the combo in his hand. He didn't have to search it up.
Gotcha.
And then the Torrent of Souls one, I genuinely do not know. I think nobody searched their deck. Like, nobody played an Evolving Wilds. Nobody played a Cultivate. The game just kind of happened. Which is weird. You don't see that often.
No, you don't.
But, okay. So our next random stat is going to be turn order. And how well we think you do based on where you start the game. So out of our 62 games, obviously we have 62 wins divided by first player, second player, third, and fourth. If you had to take a guess, which position you want to start at, which one got the most wins, and which is the worst position? You never want to start there because they never win. Who's the best and who's the worst?
Best is first.
Okay.
I'll say honestly, I feel like first probably, or actually no, I'll go second. Second might be best for
Okay.
wins, the most wins, because I feel like you depending on the wins like it is. God.
That makes sense. Okay. And then which one do you think was the worst?
Or words. I'll go with
Go ahead.
Nina. You go first.
I'll say third might be worst.
Okay.
All right, I was going to go with third too, but I'm going to be different and go with fourth.
Okay. All right. So the wins by player order. Third was actually the best, and fourth was the
Wow.
worst.
Dang.
Now, there's not a ton of difference between the first three. I mean, 15, 17, and 19. But I feel like 10 kind of stands out above the rest.
Yeah.
I kind of get the sense it doesn't matter too much where you start, but you don't want to go last.
No. That is
Right.
quite a dramatic change in comparison.
Yeah.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, I don't have a great guess for this, but I think the best guess I could give is that players 1 and 2 are more likely to try to go off first and then be stopped,
You get shot.
leaving player 3 to kind of just swoop in.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I would agree with that assessment. That makes a lot of logical sense.
But that, like I said, that's my best guess. I don't have actual evidence of that, but who's to say?
Makes sense.
All right, our next random stat: everybody's favorite commander card, Soul Ring. How many Soul Rings got cast this year out of our 52 videos, 62 games?
Go ahead, Sean. 'Cause
For reference, this is, in case anyone doesn't know, Soul Ring is the 1 mana artifact that taps for 2 colorless mana. It comes in every single pre-con deck. Most people put it in every deck they make. Out of 62 games.
I'm going to say 90.
90?
I'll go.
90.
Oh gosh. I'll go 102.
Okay, so very high numbers. They were not that high, surprisingly. It was 41.
40. Ah!
You keep second guessing
That surprises
yourself.
me.
I should have gone with my gut. Oh.
Should have gone with your gut. Yeah, so most games, surprisingly, didn't actually see any. As weird as it is, most of the games that I tracked that had a Soul Ring cast had multiple Soul Rings cast.
That makes sense because I
Yeah.
feel like if somebody played a Soul Ring, somebody else usually played a Soul Ring either that turn or the next turn.
Yeah. It was weird how many games Soul Ring showed up pretty quickly. Again, I don't have specific stats on it, but a lot of times it showed up in the first 3 turns, and then very rarely did it show up past like turn 5.
Yeah.
I feel like after turn 5, you want to be doing other things besides casting Soul Ring.
Yeah.
That is true. All right, but in terms of Soul Rings being played, obviously if someone is playing a Soul Ring, they are taking their turn. So we're going to look at how many turns were taken. And in this case, not by specific people, but for the games themselves. How many turns do you think it takes to finish a game of Commander? At least on average. Out of our 62 games, how many turns did it take to finish?
Average.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to say round the table.
I will say we're counting around the table as 1 turn.
Right.
So if you, me, Nina,
Player-
and Jason are playing a game, we all take one turn. That counts as one turn.
One turn round. Okay. I'm gonna say 8.
Okay.
I was gonna say 10.
Okay. In this case, though, Nina, very close. 10.46.
All right.
Which I think this one surprised me because this is a very high number. A lot of games.
We aren't a very competitive bunch, though.
That is true. I don't think we're super competitive. And we'll talk about like the fastest and slowest games in just a second. And I do think that those, like the fastest and shortest, kind of skew this a little bit. But the fact that it's the average, I think, means that we did spend a lot of time, just extending the game. But in terms of the actual turns taken, if you had to guess how many turns were in the longest game, how many turns do you think that might be?
Since you said they skew it a lot, I'm gonna say like 19.
Okay.
Probably closer to 16.
Okay. This one is 21.
Holy cow.
Massive 21 turns. This was the unset game.
Yeah.
Oh.
This is the one, and I can even tell
Did it
you.
really go that long?
Yeah, I can even tell you exactly what it was. This was the only 3-player game I did all year, I'm pretty sure.
Wow.
It was me.
Oh, not the one I played, though.
No. It was me, Lena, and Nina.
Oh, yeah, I do remember.
We were all playing Uncommander. So I was playing Dr. Julius Jumblemorph. Nina was playing A Cornelia, and Lena was playing, Dr. Baron von Count.
That's right. No one picked Alexander Clamilton.
Yeah, that was the 4th one that was left out. And we knocked Nina out. I remember that much because the squirrels got scary. And then I had like a 2/2 or a 3/3 flyer, and that was like my only threat. And so I just hit Lena for like 15 turns because she could never find an answer to it.
Did nothing with reach. I remember that.
Yeah, it was just the slowest game. On the flip side, though, if we take a look at the shortest game, how long do you think the shortest game took?
I'm gonna say 2.
2. Okay.
No, not that quick.
That is very quick.
Turn 4.
Turn 4. Okay. So the shortest, and there were actually 2 that tied for it. The shortest was 5 turns.
Oh, wow.
So the Shadowborn Apostle game, that was Shawn. You won that one with Gitrog. Just kind of comboed off real quick. And then the other one, the Boggle game, that one was Bilal, who made Infinite Mana with Kinnan. And I can't remember off the top of my head if that's the game that also didn't have any searches in it, but I think it was, weirdly enough. Like, people just didn't have the time to search their libraries. But, yeah.
Interesting.
And then, since we are still on the topic of turns being taken, how many extra turns do you think were taken? Like, overall, how many people cast a spell that said, you take an extra turn, or ultimated a planeswalker that let them take extra turns? Who got a little bit more than they should have? Well, I mean, we can see who got more, but how many more, I suppose?
So are we looking for total?
You're looking for total.
I'm going to say 8 extra turns.
Okay.
Yeah, I was going to go 5.
5? All right. Yeah. So the correct answer, and it's going to be a little bit wobbly, is around 10.
Okay.
And that statistic doesn't make sense yet, but it will. I will explain that. We just got to talk about the people first. So the players that are listed below, those are the only 4 players that took extra turns. And they're actually in order of who took the most extra turns. So Jason took the least, Bilal took the most. If we have to split up our...
I was right.
Yeah, if we have to split up our 10, or around 10, how many extra turns do you think Jason took, knowing he took the least?
1.
Okay.
I'll say 2.
2. It was 1. So, and he did it in the video where I played Extus. It was the Splicer skill deck. He just took a single extra turn, and I believe I think he wound up winning that game, if I remember right. Next up in line, though, is me. How many extra turns do you think I took?
2.
I was gonna say 2. I'll say 2.
Okay. It is 2. And they were both in the same game, which is probably why I won that game. I believe Nina was also in that game.
I think so.
It was the Art of Peace. It was where I made sure that nobody but me got a combat step.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. That sounds.
It was a good time.
Mm.
So out of our around 10 turns, there's 3 of them taken care of. How many do you think Mike
7
had?
left. I'm going to go in order. Just 3.
I was going to say 3
Okay.
and 4, yeah.
All right. Mike took a few more. Mike took 7.
Oh.
And he took a bunch of turns in one of the unset games. That was the one that you were in, Shawn, where we all played an Unfinity commander or an unset commander. But Mike, unfortunately, did not have one, so he just played Yidris and kind of stomped us. And then he took a bunch of turns in the video where I played Corona. And he didn't take the turns to win. He took like 4 turns to try to stabilize and then still wound up dying. But that leads us to Bilal, which is the reason why we have about 10 turns.
Because he took a bunch of infinite turns and always won whenever he took an infinite turn.
That is correct. Yeah. He took an infinite amount of turns. I don't remember the deck. Actually, yes, I do. He was playing Tivit. He was playing Tivit, which is the same commander that I played for a CEDH game. So it was a very powerful commander. And I believe he was able to use Time Sieve, I think that's how it's pronounced, Time Sieve, to sacrifice the 5 artifacts he made with his commander, take an extra turn, then attack, make 5 more, sacrifice them, and continue. So I couldn't put an infinite number of extra turns as the total, but I felt like about 10 made sense.
Okay.
So
interesting.
Yeah. So those are the total extra turns, and we're almost to the end. I've only got about 3 more random stats for you. The first one is going to be infinite combos.
Oh, gosh.
Everyone's favorite topic, some more than others.
Yeah.
The players, again, that are listed in order of how many infinite combos they pulled off.
This sounds about right.
Yeah, the names look about right. But if we had to take a guess, out of the 62 games, how many games ended with someone winning because of an infinite combo?
45.
I was going to go lower, like 20.
Okay. It is actually significantly lower. It's only 15.
Oh.
What?
Yep. So out of 62 games, only 15 ended with an infinite combo.
Wild.
Which I think is pretty impressive, really.
Yeah, considering how many games typically go to the combos.
Yeah, because, I mean, you don't really think about it too much. So, and I will say specifically, I only counted true infinite combos. So if someone makes like 50 mana and then sinks it into a Torment of Hailfire, that doesn't count as an infinite combo because it wasn't actually infinite. But if someone's like, I'm going to generate an infinite amount of mana, then cast this infinitely large Walking Ballista, that counts.
Interesting.
So then, if we're looking at the players that are winning with infinite combos, I don't have the specific videos for these because some people had quite a few, and I'm not going to put 15 videos in here because it's just going to make it look crowded. But Jason's at the bottom with his infinite combos, which he'll probably appreciate, although I don't think he wants to be on this list at all.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
no, he doesn't.
So how many infinite combos do you think Jason pulled off?
I'm going to say 1.
Okay.
I'll also say 1.
All right. It is, in fact, 1. Next up, we'll do, I guess, Mike. He's next on the list. Any guesses for Mike?
I'll say 1 again.
Well, I'll go to 2.
Okay. It is still 1, which means that the other 4 we're starting to pile up those infinite combos.
Yeah.
Manny is next.
We'll go 2 here.
Okay.
I'll go to 3.
Okay. I will say, Manny played 1 game. He won that 1 game, and he won it with an infinite combo.
Makes sense.
So we're already down to 12 total combos, and they are split between Shawn, myself, and Bilal. So, Shawn, you're next. How many infinite combos do you think you pulled off this year?
Well, I can't say 6 because that doesn't make any sense.
Okay.
So I will have to go with 3.
Okay.
I'll go with 4.
4. It is 2. It's only 2.
What?
It's only 2. You got to step it up.
I'm offended.
Yep. So that means Bilal and I split 10 infinite combos amongst ourselves.
That's wild.
So I guess
that tracks.
So I'm next, I guess. How many infinite combos did I pull off this year?
4.
Yeah, 4.
Okay. That is spot on. It was 4. Which then, I'm not going to make you do the math, means that Bilal had 6. So definitely a little top heavy, but I think that's about right.
Yeah.
For our playstyle, yes, this is spot on the money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is important to note too that since Bilal was a part of 48 total games, 6 infinite combos out of 48 is not bad.
No, not at all.
So
I'm surprised it's not higher, but then we play with Jason, who's a very anti-combo player.
yeah. Although, if you ask Bilal, it's probably my fault because I stop him from winning a lot. So
also true. He would infinite combo way more without your presence.
Oh yeah.
I'm probably the reason that player 3 has the most wins. All right, but yeah, so those are the infinite combos. Next up, we got board wipes. So we have the total number of board wipes cast across all games, and then on average, the number of board wipes per game. So out of the 62 games, how many board wipes do you think were cast in total?
I'm going to say most games probably either had 0 or 1.
Yeah.
But some games also had like insane number of board wipes. So it's going to like skew the average. I will go 80.
Okay.
I'll go 60.
Okay. 71, right between you. Except technically Shawn was 1 closer. Yeah, so a total of 71 board wipes across 62 games. Which I don't have to make you do the math on this one either, but on average that winds up being just slightly more than 1. So on average there were about 1.15 board wipes cast per game, which is quite a few.
Yeah.
But like I said earlier, with the searches, these are, or not the searches, the turns, these are very skewed by the top and the bottom.
Oh yeah.
So
I feel like there was a lot of games with 0 board wipes, and there was a lot of games with like 5 or 6 board wipes.
yeah, so that is the next thing we got to figure out. How many board wipes happened in the game with the most, and how many happened in the game with the least?
I will go. You go ahead.
I was just going to say, we'll start with the most, because I think that's the order I've got them revealing in, so it'll just make my life easier.
Okay. Nina?
For most, I want to say I'm gonna say like I don't feel like it's a lot, but I'm probably wrong. I'm gonna say maybe like 4.
Okay.
I'll go 5.
All right. You're both close, but nobody quite got it. The answer was 6.
Oh,
Should going with my gut.
Yeah, and weirdly
yeah.
enough, in the same game that had the most total searches of decks as well. I would imagine those two are probably related in some way. But
That is really
Tracking.
interesting.
yeah, 6 board wipes in a game. For the least, I think we can safely say that the answer is 0. So instead of making you guess how many of those, I'm going to make you try to guess how many games had 0 board wipes, because it is more than one.
Out of like,
Out of 62 games, how many games didn't have any board wipes cast?
I say 10.
I was also going to say 10. I'll say 12.
Okay. So for this one, Nina's a bit closer. It's 19.
Oof, not that much though.
Yeah. So, and I do want to state too, because board wipe is very vague. When I was tracking these stats, I counted anything that removed more than half of the chosen permanent from the board. So if someone cast a massacre worm and it removed 90% of the creatures, but not all of them, I still counted that as a board wipe. Same thing with, like, if someone, casts a spell that destroys all the artifacts at the table, I still technically counted that as a board wipe because it's removing a specific type of permanent.
Right.
So, yeah, but those are the board wipes and most of the stats. So we've got one last stat that I want to end with, and it's going to be the one that I personally find the most interesting and the most fun, and that is going to be the times that people self-destructed. This is going to be the moments in games when people knocked themselves out. So it could have been through the help of other people, but at the end of the day, this statistic was tracked by anyone who knocked themselves out of the game with their own card or their own effect. And does anyone want to take a guess how many times that happened?
I don't feel like it's been a lot. I'm going to say 7.
Okay.
Knowing I have done this at least once, I'm going to say 10.
10.
No, that's 62 games. That's a little high. 6.
6. Okay. So the correct answer is 4.
Oh.
And surprisingly, though, Shawn, you say you've done it. You did not do it this year. You are not one of the 4.
Interesting.
So we'll run through the 4 real quick, just because, again, I think they're interesting. The first one was in the Gissengerolf game, or one of them. Mike cast an ad nauseum when he was below 13 life and hit Blasphemous Act and killed himself. The next time that happened was me in the Spike Shot Goblin deck. I was at 1 life and couldn't win the game, so I pinged myself with Jessica and just... I think I gave the win specifically to you, actually, Shawn. Because I couldn't win, so I just took myself out. The third time it happened was also me. I was playing an Infect deck, and Angry Cow attacked me and actually stole Tainted Strike and Chandra's Ignition out of my hand. So he was then able to give a creature that was like 15 power Infect, and then he made it do damage to me with my own cards. So, not ideal.
Wow.
And then the last one was also me. I drew my entire deck with Jensen and a bunch of charms, and had no way to win because I didn't have a Laboratory Maniac or a Jace, and I just accidentally decked myself because I drew too many cards.
L.
So, I don't know what it says about me that 3 of the 4 self-destructs were mine, but I will take that. I think it means that I'm doing something right and just having fun.
Yep. It's all about that drama.
Exactly. But yeah, so like I said, that was the last random fact. That's all of it. So I appreciate everyone who joined us for 2022. Hopefully, I'm going to keep doing this in 2023. I'm already keeping track of the stats for the videos that I have edited and have put out. But if there's any stats or fun facts that you would like me to track, I will be happy to do so. I'm not too far in. I can still go back and add a couple things to the list. So I guess before we fully wrap up, what about you guys, Nina, Shawn? Anything that you think might be fun to take a look at in 2023 that we didn't look at in this video?
Well, now that you're starting to get like a year and year review, it'd be kind of fun to like do like a growth or a
Oh,
year by comparison.
yeah, and like because that's a really good point because you've brought up that like the numbers have changed and stuff, so it'd be kind of cool to see it on the screen. Like maybe this year, Gruel had a lot more than last year, or something like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Good idea. Good job, Sean.
Okay.
Try to be helpful.
Yeah, I like that. Well, if anybody watching comes up with ideas, let me know in the comments. I would love to see it. I am a big fan of like stats and fun facts like this, and trying to make it as trivia-like as possible because I also like trivia. So, Nina and Shawn, thank you so much for joining me for this. And before
Thank you for
we,
having us.
yeah, finally wrap up, any last minute
Yeah, that's okay. Thank you.
comments?
Like and subscribe, I guess.
Looking forward to some more games.
Absolutely.
All right, awesome. Well, thank you all, like I said, so much, and we'll see you all on the other side of the Dungeon Learner's Guide.